What I'm planning on doing here is a little bit of a tutorial for the beginning 7 Days to Die player. 7 Days to Die is an awesome game. I picked it up on the Steam Summer Sale. Got it for $10 on the Steam Summer Sale. When I first brought it up, wasn't sure I was going to like it. Looked at the graphics and said, well, I'm not so sure. And once I tried it, I was hooked. It is so addictive. It's kind of a cross between Minecraft and which I never liked. Never liked Minecraft at all. But it's a little bit like Minecraft with zombies. So the graphics are a whole lot better than Minecraft, because that was one of the things that kept me from playing Minecraft. It was just too clunky and kludgy, and I remember those games from back in the day. We've advanced so far since then. I just don't want to go back to those kind of graphics. These are a lot better. They're still not cutting edge graphics, but the gameplay is what is so captivating here. It's rare that you get a game that actually makes you feel that fear, even though you're not really there. You're sitting in the comfort of your own office or living room or whatever, and it's just engaging. It pulls you in. So again, what I plan on doing here is giving a few tips and tricks for the beginning player. Play around with these settings however you want to. You may find them to be, you may find something to be better on yours than the way I like it. For instance, I'm going to start it off on the default difficulty level, and the default difficulty level is, let's see here. Let me go ahead and pull it up. I'm going to do a new game, and we're going to call this new game Tips and Tricks. There are two ways you can get the game world in here. You can get a randomly generated game world where you know where nothing is, or you can use Navsgain, which is the choice I'm going to make here. And this is a standard map that is included in the game. And if you want to find out where things are on the map, or kind of get a map that you can print out, you can go out to Google and just type in Navsgain 7 Days to Die map, and tell it to look for graphics, pictures, that kind of thing, and you'll find several different maps of the Navsgain world. You can print them out on your printer and have them as a something to just be able to look at when you don't have the map up in the game. Once you have progressed on a little bit and you've kind of got a few of these little tips and tricks under your belt, then you may want to go in and change it to random gen. Now, random gen isn't perfect yet. There's still some things in random gen that are not quite right. You'll see different environments right next to each other. You may see a desert right next to a snowy area. You may see a road that has a cliff next to it because it's where it transitions to a new area. But the developers are still working on this. They're doing a great job. So far, they've just been phenomenal what they've done here. This is wonderful. I looked at some of the gameplay from when they first released it out into alpha a couple of years ago, and look at it now, and it is leaps and bounds better now. So they are working on it diligently. They're coming out with new updates to it. And so what we're going to be playing here is the latest one, the Alpha 14.7. And it's actually B6 is the current one that I have here. The game mode is Survival MP or Survival SP. Well, I'm not going to be doing multiplayer for this tips and tricks. I'm just going to do a single player. You can also do creative, which is kind of like no zombies. You can go out there and just do whatever you want to, and you can turn on cheat modes, and you don't have to worry about zombies. You can just build stuff. But for me, that takes away a lot of the excitement of the game, because you don't really have to worry about anything while you're building. If you'll notice, my standard options and my modded options are both yellow right now, and that means that I have some custom settings in there that are different from the defaults. And I'll go over those with you in just a moment and what they mean and why you might want to do yours the same way. The standard options, you have Nomad, which is the default for the difficulty setting, and that's what I'm going to choose. It's, as it says, it's for experienced first-person shooter players. If you find it to be too difficult, take it down to adventure. You know, it's not bad on adventure either. The zombies are a little easier to kill, um, but most people will be fine with nomad. And again, if you find that to be too easy, you're welcome to go to warrior or survivalist. As it says, insane, you're one brave mother if you go to that one, because you are going to get killed a lot unless you are a very good first-person shooter player and have played this game quite a bit. So I'm going to leave it on Nomad. The daylight length is how many hours the sun shines per day. I've set it to 18. The default is 16 hours per day. For most new players, I would recommend going ahead and changing this to 18 so you get more daylight. Zombies run default. In the default setting, the zombies walk and shamble during the daylight hours. And when it becomes night, in this case between 10 o'clock at night and 4 a.m., the zombies run. And they're a lot more dangerous at night when they're running. They're harder to kill, obviously, because they're running. So you're probably going to want to be in a safe place come nightfall. By the time 10 o'clock rolls around, you want to be somewhere where you're in a defensible position, maybe even hiding, especially at the beginning of the game. You may want to hide somewhere and do some crafting to kind of get your skills up in weapons making or tool making. And I'll be going over a little bit of that as I get into the game. But for right now, I recommend leaving it on default. Never run. I don't recommend that because even at night, you're going to be out doing things and you can run from the zombies, and it makes it a little more exciting having that adrenaline rush of knowing that if you go out at night, you got to be very careful because the zombies will chase you and they will run after you, catch you, and you're probably going to end up dying and respawning back on your bedroll. So again, we're going to leave that as default right now. Enemy aggression is normal. Now, you can leave it at normal or you can make it feral. As a beginning player, again, I recommend you leave it at normal. Feral means the zombies are going to be much more aggressive. They're going to be able to sense you even if you're hiding in a building at night, you're crouched down, you're not moving. They're still going to sense you in feral mode. So beginning players, again, I recommend this to be on the normal setting. Persistent profiles. I don't really know that this has any use in single-player mode. In multiplayer mode, it just means that whatever profile you connected with that game the first time, that's the profile you're going to have to connect with it the next time. And it keeps people from going in and logging in with a new player and making it different that way. So again, I don't think this has any bearing on a single person game at all, really. So you can have it on or off, doesn't matter. I've got it on because the last game that I set up was a multiplayer game with my daughter, and we wanted the persistent profiles. We want to come in as the same characters each time, and it just makes it a little easier. Yes, my chat is active. I did not see that you popped that up there. Can you not hear me? Am I not coming through okay? Oh, okay. All right. So we're going to skip the standard options now. We pretty much got those down pat. We're going to go to the modded options. In the modded options, the 24-hour cycle, it's how long it takes for 24 hours to pass in game. Again, that's pretty self-explanatory. For every 24-hour cycle in the game, at the setting here, it takes 60 minutes for that 24-hour cycle. New players, I recommend you go to 60 minutes because it gives you a little extra time during the day to get things done for you to learn the game. You can take it up to 90 and 120 minutes. To me, that seems like it's getting a little ridiculous. 2 hours to do one day in game. But I recommend it at 60 minutes for beginning players. Even if you've been playing it a while, I recommend 60 minutes. It just makes it a little easier to figure out, how long it is for a day in the game. 50 minutes is the default. That you can still get things done in that, and I have played on that, so it's fine. But I recommend 60 minutes, especially for beginning players. The next two, block durability and loot abundance, I recommend just leaving those at 100%. For me, it's I feel like I'm cheating if I bump those up. because it just makes the game easier. You can find much more loot. You can find, if you use the block durability and you bump that up, it just makes the blocks harder for the zombies to break apart, and it just, to me, it just feels like cheating to do that. So I leave those at 100%. Loot respawn time. If I'm not mistaken, the default on this, here, let's check and see. Yeah, the default on loot respawn is 30 days. As a beginning player, I recommend that you go ahead and take this down. You may want to make it 5 days. I like it at 10 days. And what that means is if you've gone to an area and you've looted that area and you've been away from that area for more than 10 days, when you come back, there will be new loot and all of those things that you checked the first time through. So make sure that you set this to what you feel like you want to use. I feel like for a beginning player, 10 days is good. Honestly, learning the game, it's probably not going to be a big deal to you, because in the beginning, you're probably not going to get very far from your initial base, because everything is new, everything is frightening, and you're trying to get things built up, you're trying to get protected, because the first horde is coming in 7 days, so you're trying to get things ready for that. Honestly, as we go through, some of the tips that I'm going to go over for the 7-day horde are pretty simple, because the 7-day horde, it's easy. Honestly, you can make it through the 7-day horde if you can find a good place where you can blockade yourself upstairs with no way for the zombies to get up there. Then you'll be all right on the 7-day horde. Now, as each horde progresses, and you get a new horde every 7 days on a blood moon, as each one of those progresses, they get harder. So on the 14-day horde, you're going to get more zombies. You're going to get more attacks there. 21-day horde is when it really starts to get tight. It starts to get difficult, because you'll start to get police zombies and feral zombies on those days. And I'll explain what those mean once we get into the game. The next setting that I'm looking at here is drop on death. What that means is when you get killed and you respawn, you drop a backpack when you get killed. And if you leave this on everything that's in your backpack and everything that's in your tool belt ends up being in your backpack for you to pick up when you go back to get it. You can change that. You can change it so that only the items that were in your tool belt get saved, or only the items in your backpack get saved. Or if you're really hardcore, you can set it to delete all, where if you drop it, you just got to make new stuff. Again, for the beginning player, I recommend everything. You're going to die a lot probably in the beginning, and you're going to want to go back and get those backpacks, and you're going to want all the stuff that you worked so hard to loot and get and create. You're going to want that stuff to be there for you to pick up when you come back. Enemy memory. What the enemy memory means is that in real seconds, in real world seconds, how long a zombie is going to pursue you or remember where you were and kind of go over that area and try and find you. It defaults to 60 seconds. I see no reason to change that. If you want to make it a little easier, you can change it to 30 seconds so that they'll look around for you for 30 seconds and then they'll go off and do something else. So that's totally up to you. I recommend 60 seconds. Okay, enemy spawning is set to medium. Medium is 100% spawning, and it's the default. I have never changed this. If you take it down to disabled, you won't get any zombies in the game, and you can run around and do whatever you want to, but what's the point? That's not what the game's called. It's not called 7 days to create stuff. It's called 7 days to die, and you're probably going to die. The longest that I have made it in the game at any given time, my last single-player game, I made it to the 49th day in the game before I finally got killed the first time. And I thought that was quite an accomplishment. Usually I've died in the first week or the first 2 weeks I've died. So enemy spawning, I recommend leaving that where it is at the medium, which is 100%. It's just your standard game. Airdrops. Now, airdrops is the next thing that is really one of those that you're going to want to think about, because airdrops, the plane will fly over, and I think it's initially set to every 7 days. It might be set to every 3 days to begin with. Maybe that's true. Yeah, every 3 days is the default. Okay, and what that means is that every 3 days a plane's going to fly over. It's going to drop a crate, and if you go out and you open that crate, it's got some goodies in it that you're really going to want. You're really going to appreciate. It can have some recipes in there for different items. There may be gun parts in there. There may be first aid kits and things like that at the beginning that are really going to help you out in the beginning of the game. In the beginning of the game, since you're just walking at this point, it can take you a while to get to that loot crate or that airdrop. So you want to get out there, get it, and get back to your base. Maybe start out in the morning, run all the way there, get what you need, loot things on the way back, and get back to your base so you can start building things again. So go ahead and leave that every 3 days, and you'll be fine. I feel like every 1 day is just ridiculous because you're getting a new one every day, and they pile up, and you really can't afford to go running out every day to go find a loot crate or an airdrop, rather. It's too much. So I recommend every 3 days, and that's fine. If you're really brave, make it every 7 days. So, every 7th day, maybe on Horde day, you're going to get an airdrop. You can run out before the Horde, get it, come back, and do the night of the zombie Horde. The next one is the cheat mode. Okay, really? Come on. It's a cheat mode. Leave it off. What it is if you turn it on, it puts you in creative mode, and there's no point in looting anything. There's no point in making anything or building anything because you can just take whatever you want in the cheat mode and build stuff with it, or take the best weapons, or do whatever. That's just, to me, that's ridiculous. The only reason I even think this should ever be turned on is if you want to maybe experiment with a certain style of base. So you create a game, you turn on cheat mode, and you go in there and you take concrete block or whatever building material you want, and you lay out the base, and you kind of figure it out and figure out the defenses that you want on it. That's really the only time I could see this being useful. I do not recommend that you turn this on for a regular game, but it's your choice. Mark airdrops. Beginning players, I cannot emphasize this enough. You want the mark airdrops to be on. What it means is it's going to set a marker on your map to where that airdrop came down. If you don't have this on and the airdrop comes over and you're below ground and you can't see where the plane came over and you can't see where it dropped the airdrop, you're not going to find it. You're not going to know where it came down. You're not going to be able to find it. And even if you are outside, you're basically in a situation where you have to look at where the airdrop came down, maybe face towards it, bring up your map, set a marker out in the distance, and then run towards that marker and hope you see that crate on your way out. For experienced players, you can turn this off because it adds a little bit more challenge to the game. For a beginning player, I highly recommend that you leave it on. I still leave it on because sometimes you can't go out and get a crate right away. And if the airdrops are marked, if the mark airdrops is on, you can always bring up your map and set a marker. Because what happens is if another airdrop gets dropped before you go out and get the first one, the one that's going to show up on your map is the second one. So you're going to want to have where the first one was already marked, because that marker that they put on there is going to get moved to the second. So anyway, I recommend that mark airdrops be on. And that's pretty much it for the game's settings.